Hey guys, it's Mike. You're about to listen to a really special episode. It's special because Jonny Lieberman was one of the first people that I reached out to over a year ago who agreed to be on the show, and now he's back to celebrate 1 year of the Road Stories podcast with me. As always, I'm diligently working to bring you another year of origin stories, but I need your help. My goal was to have 50 5-star reviews my first year of doing the show. I'm only 5 reviews away from hitting my goal, so if you haven't already, please head over to iTunes and leave me a review. Let me know what you think of the podcast. It helps. It helps so much to get the show discovered. Once you've left the review, send me a DM of the screenshot or email me the screenshot, and I will make sure to send you a little care package as a way to thank you. Okay, now let's get to Jonny's episode. This is part 1 of 2. It's so much fun. Enjoy the show. You were one of my first guests, you know that,
I think
right?
I was the second
You
guest.
were.
Yeah.
Jonathan Ward was number 1.
I'm having lunch with him on Thursday.
Awesome.
Yeah.
He is a mad scientist.
He's great. I love the guy.
He's awesome.
Okay.
So he's number 1. You're number 2.
Nice.
I mean, not really. Not literally.
No. Hey, I mean, if I'm going to be number 2 to anybody,
It's a good pick, isn't it?
Glad it's him.
Yeah.
And I can give you a list of people I'm glad it's not. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. All right. Maybe we'll come back to that.
Yeah,
Make
maybe
another
we'll come
list.
back to
The
that.
show is all about lists.
Right. I like lists.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Keeps me organized.
Umberto Eco has a book about lists and the importance of lists.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
Haven't
in
read that
Italian,
one.
though. I can't read it, but I know
I'm
he
sure
wrote it.
there's a translation.
There isn't. It's weird. It's just never. It's like it's not even academic. It's like a Strunk and White's like the how to write guide.
Okay.
It's like a something you'd read to become a better writer. And it's just, as far as I know, it's never been translated out of Italian.
I gotta tell you, I'm a little surprised that an Italian guy made a book about lists.
Well, Umberto Eco is like the great. He's one of my favorite authors, and just like if you read his books, what's great about him is his listing, because he will just list stuff, and it's just fascinating. So I think it's like translates to like the importance of lists. Also, what I'm saying right now is probably 25 years out of date. I haven't really tried to get that book in a while, but I know it exists.
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe 15 years.
The book itself is relevant.
Also, car podcast, when dropping Umberto Eco is just like casual guy. So
All right, we're off to a good start.
that's right. Italian seminetician.
Yeah, so this is actually what we're going to do in this episode. Again, this is a celebration.
Yeah.
A 1-year anniversary
Okay.
of us meeting.
That's right.
And sporadically texting.
Right.
And me asking you stupid questions about cars that I probably already know the answers to. But I just want to be friends.
Yeah. Love it. Let's go.
Yeah, although I didn't get to actually rent the car that you recommended because apparently someone destroyed the clutch on the 124 Fiat.
Oh, yeah.
So I had to get an actual Miata.
And?
Great.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, they're good.
They're good.
Good.
Yeah.
Not great.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
The steering, pretty not great.
They rely on the rear springs to rotate the car too much.
Yeah.
So it's a floppy car.
It is a very floppy car.
Yeah, and I don't think it needs to be, but the way they tuned it, that's just how it is. So it's good. I like it. It's not, I don't dream about it.
Yeah.
And I thought Fiat did a better job taking that car, putting in the turbo motor, which actually makes it more drivable. There's like sound deadening. So when you're on a long road trip, it doesn't like wear on you. It's kind of a better touring car.
Yeah.
I think if you were only going to be on a track, I think the Miata would be better. But if you do other stuff with it, it's a little rough around the edges. I don't know exactly the model you rented, but when they first came out, they were super floppy. And then when they added the RF, that was called the hardtop convertible one. So
I think so.
RC, whatever it is. Bad name.
Clearly.
But they said, okay, we got more weight on the rear now because of the hardtop convertible or whatever it is, hardtop semi-target convertible. We're gonna stiffen up the rear a little bit, and then they said, you know what, the car's actually better. So then they took that semi-stiffened rear and put it onto the regular Miata, and it's better. It's better than it was. Still, they rely on that. So they have I forget exactly. They shorten the steering ratio because they know you'll get an amount of lean that'll change the suspension geometry to increase the steering. But without the lean, it doesn't steer as much. So
Got it.
Yeah.
I was more upset at the steering feel itself. Like the on-center feel was kind of vague.
yeah.
It wasn't great, and that's maybe why I'm upset.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing too is when you rent a car, I mean, who knows what condition it's in. And if I remember correctly, I'm racking my memory banks right now. That's part of having, the everything they claim they did for lightness. So having less, thick, heavy suspension components allowed the car to be lighter. But because of that, they decided to use the rear end of the car to help steer the car. And it just made the steering not as like heavy as you might like it.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it's still good. It's cool that you can still buy a 2,300 pound car.
It is very cool that you can
It
still
would be
do
cooler
that.
if you could buy a 2,400 pound car called the the Alpine A110.
Oh, yeah. We're going to talk about that car.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Why can't we get nice things?
Yeah. Well, Renault doesn't sell cars in the U.S.
Yeah.
That's why.
Aren't they trying to make a comeback? Renault or Peugeot?
Peugeot is a different company. But Renault, who knows what's going on with Mr. Ghosn, but Renault is Nissan, or at least was very tied up with Nissan. So you could put a Nissan like 240SX badge on the back of that Alpine and just bring it in. And the other thing, though, they're like $70,000. So it costs more than a Z.
Yeah.
A lot more than a Z. And kind of, I don't know. It'd be a tough sell. It's a great car, though.
Is it worth the $70,000?
Oh, hell yeah.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
That's a big statement.
Oh, yeah. We'll get to it, but hell yeah.
$70,000.
Well,
for
70,000 British pounds, I should say. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Hang on. 53,000 British pounds is about $70,000.
Okay.
It's never a straight conversion.
Sure.
Cars are cheaper in the US than they are in Britain. So I don't know what it would actually cost, but I would guess it'd be like 60, 70. The Alpine is just like phenomenal.
Okay.
Like one of those rare cars where you're like, yeah, they did everything. Everything is correct. There's just nothing wrong with it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess in 25 years, some of us will find out.
Yeah. Or just go to Europe. In fact, we'll get to it. Tell me when we get to it, and I'll tell the whole Renault story.
We can get to it. So like I said, this is basically, we're going to do freeform here.
Let's get to it.
Every episode that we've done so far, or I've done, I say we like there's more than one person, but it sounds more official when I say we.
Okay. Well, here's the story.
Yeah.
Those French bastards at Alpine wouldn't give us a car, so we had to for this head-to-head we're doing. So we're doing the Alpine versus the BMW M2 competition. So we had to source a car. Like we got a BMW from Germany, no problem. We had to get the car out of the UK. So steering wheel's on the wrong side, which really I'm used to by this point. Not a big deal. However, France, that miserable country. Actually, I love France, but that miserable country. There's every 8 feet there's a toll.
Oh, okay,
and
great.
They cement you in, so you can't like get out of the car, walk around, do the toll. You literally have to unbuckle your seatbelt, crawl across to the other seat, and deal with traffic building up behind you. Deal with a ticket and a credit card. Now, Jethro is British and used to doing that because he drives nothing but wrong hand drive cars into Europe all the time. B, probably 70 pounds lighter than I am and a little younger, so he can like kind of origami himself. I'm an old fat man, and misery. Anyways, so they wouldn't give us the car. And I'm telling you this because it was painful, and it cost us a lot of money to ship a car from London to Nice. We started in Nice, and we arrive at the Nice airport, and we're ready to go rent a support vehicle. Giant wall-size sign, rent a Alpine A110.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm like, we could have rented the thing. So if you go to France, you can just rent one. Avis.
For rent.
Yeah.
No Turo there yet.
There is, but it's very, we checked that. There is a Turo, but basically no one does it. The only people that do it are like super low-end, like shady car rental agencies. So we looked at Turo, and it was nothing but like the lowest end Fiat or Citroen or whatever, and like the base horrible 1.2 liter diesel, economy horrible thing. Right. That's all. And it's all from dealerships. There's no private individuals doing it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
We did check that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, makes sense.
But anyways, this Alpine.
Yes.
Okay, and they say it's Alpine, as I pointed out. I'm like, are those the Alps? Well, it's Alpine.
Right. Well, this is America, so we're going to call it Alpine.
Well, but also the Brits fall into that. I'm like, come on, Alpine, it's Alpine. Anyways.
Wait, the Brits pronounce it Alpine?
They all said Alpine, or at least Jethro and his two buddies.
So proper.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyways, the A110. So people spend a lot of time online, and all they get to do is look at a car and then read like the numbers, right? So they go 246 horsepower, whatever. That's less than whatever car makes more than 246 horsepower. Oh, it must be horrible. It must be slow. It's like, well, this thing is like 2,400 pounds. I think somebody actually weighed it, and it was like 2416, something like that, or 2436. So it's very light. I mean, it's like 300 pounds lighter than like a Fiesta ST.
Yeah.
Which at 197 horsepower is a quick-ish car. This is also a dual clutch. It's also geared right. The transmission is brilliant. It kept up no problem on real roads, freeways, whatever, with the M2 competition, which is a 406 horsepower car. It feels like a first gen Audi R8 with a V8. It has that kind of feel to it.
Wow.
Yeah. Just brilliant, perfect driver's car. The suspension is lovely. It's wonderful ride, typical French car, but wonderful ride quality. Yet they tuned this one so that it's super sporty. We went to some let's say Monte Carlo rally stages above the hills of Monaco, and we were on winter tires because it was winter. The BMW could not keep up with the Alpine on these twisty roads. Just couldn't do it. And winter, and then when we got to Spain, we put both cars on summer tires. But the Alpine didn't care. Winter tire, summer tire, drove beautifully. The BMW was very traction limited on the winter tires. Really, really struggled.
Interesting.
Yeah. So like I said, it's been a long time since I've driven a car that made me kind of just rethink my preconceived notions. Maybe going back to the Nissan GTR, where I'm like, whoa, like a V6 can be awesome.
Really?
You know? Yeah. It's like, it's one of those cars. If you read all the reviews, they're all glowingly positive. You know, and like James May bought one. Everyone, you know, even after it caught on fire, he went out and bought one. You know, or maybe it was caught on fire in Top Gear. I can't really keep it straight. But anyways, you know, and the reason he did is because it's so good. It's not a publicity stunt. And again, I'm the same way. I'm always skeptic. And you read all these reviews. It can't be that good. You know, they probably had a nice lobster dinner on the launch, and they said it was so good. It's actually that good. I spent a week with the car. I went to 4 different countries with it. It's and like all environments. We were on snow. We were on alpine roads. We were on rally stages. We're on a racetrack, freeway, small city, everywhere. Just literally a brilliant car.
Wow.
Yeah. Like I've rarely, like I said, just been that like, wow, there is a different way to do things, and it's really good.
Yeah, it's really hard to find a car that does everything really, really well.
Yeah, I would say
sounds like that.
Downsides of this car, they're small. There's like no cup holders. That's a very American thing.
Very American.
But on a road trip, let me tell you, like, I want a cup holder.
Yeah.
It's a dual clutch with paddles, right? Okay. Most dual clutches, there's a button for reverse, and then when you want to shift into, say, first gear, you pull the paddle, and that shifts it from reverse into first gear. Nope, you have to hit D. So would owners have this problem? No, but for car journalists and people that drive a lot of cars, you're expecting that. You pull the paddle, you think it's in going forward mode, and it's actually still in reverse, and you hit the gas, and you back up into something. So that can be but it's all little stuff like that. There's no like fatal flaw. It's just a brilliant, brilliant car.
Right. Yeah. So it's just, you're just nitpicking at this point.
You have to. There's really like, I'm trying to think, there's nothing wrong with it. And the fuel economy is insanely good. Not that I care about that. I live in the world of free gas, but it was like the BMW was constantly out of, and again, the BMW is not any quicker, right?
Yeah.
And it's constantly out of gas because it's a big S55 motor. Right. And this Alpine was just, the BMW would be on like a third of a tank, and this would be on 2/3 of a tank. It was a big difference. Just a lovely car, and it's gorgeous too. It's just like so cool looking. There's one angle from like a hard front almost where it doesn't photograph well, but it's just because photos, you have a 3-dimensional shape and they flatten them out. Right. This one doesn't photograph as well, but it's the more time you spend with it, you're like, gosh, it's beautiful. Look at it, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I was having a hard time with the styling a little bit because it's a great homage to the original Alpine. Yeah. But I think, I don't know, something about that shape. I think you're right. I think it doesn't. I think I need to see it in person.
You got to see it in person. And I took this one photo of it up on a lift with the wheels off, and it just looks like a spaceship. It's the coolest looking thing. Yeah. It's just great. Anyways, I was just, and we're talking about the Alpine. I don't want to like, there's actually also the M2 competition. Mm-hmm. Wow. Like, it's so good. So I was shocked by how much I like that car. Because I've never been a huge fan of the original M2. And that's another car where it had like literally glowing reviews, and everyone's like, it's the next E30 M3. And I drove it, and I remember like, I remember my buddy was in a V6 Camaro, and I couldn't get away from him. And I'm like, that's not good. Now, V6 Camaro, very good car. But anyways, I was like, and then like a lot of modern BMWs at, like, I don't want to say the car's limit, but at my limit of driving, my 9/10, my 10/10, the steering just falls apart. It just becomes very bad. And you get into it's just, you lose feel, you understeer. And, a car like that should never understeer. You should have oversteer problems. And it was just never good. And the suspension was never right. And then they fixed everything. And they gave it a much better engine. It's just a sledgehammer of a motor. It's really good. So, yeah. So props to BMW.
I was one of those people that really wanted to like the 2 Series. Because I didn't have access to an M2.
Right.
I went to the BMW driving experience as the
cool.
Cup.
Oh, yeah.
And I was able to do autocross in a 235M.
Okay.
And I really didn't like it.
Yeah.
It just wasn't good.
Nope.
It felt really wishy-washy. The front end, the turn-in was not great.
They're heavy.
Not great.
So that's the problem with the 2 Series. Remember, the 2 Series is not a unique platform. It's a 3 Series platform cut down. So it's like the Ford Ranger is an F-150. They just cut the ends off of it. You know what I mean? So it's not bespoke in any way. And then the M2 is actually, if you just drive around town, and by the way, most people spend 99% of their time driving around town.
Sure.
The manual M2 is probably one of the most fun cars. Is it proper way to say it? It's so fun to drive around the city. It's great because you're never pushing anything in the city. You're just being a jackass and squirting from stop sign to stoplight and just doing dumb stuff. It's great for like horsing around. But if you really drive it hard, it kind of comes apart at the edges, and in a way that, like, let's say a Cayman, which would be similarly priced for a base one, doesn't come apart at all. Gets better and better the harder you push it. Engine sounds terrible, obviously, but wonderful chassis, wonderful damping, steering, everything's incredible on that car. And so it was nice to drive the M2 competition. And that was this episode we were shooting. We were like, viable Cayman alternatives. Porsche finally made a horrible mistake. They put an unlovable engine into a lovable car. You don't want to buy this generation Cayman. No one wants a 718 because it just sounds miserable and it's a coarse engine. So what are you going to buy? M2 Comp, about the same money, or this Alpine A110?
Interesting.
Yeah, and I'll let you know the winner in about a month. But
okay.
It was, we were surprised by like both cars, and they did do, again, you drove the M235. I've driven that. I've driven the 240 and the regular M2. They did a good job. They really did a good job.
Okay. Well, that's promising. That's
and
nice
BMW, it's funny. It takes them like a couple stabs sometimes to do that. Like the M4, not so great. M4 competition, it's okay. M4 GTS, if you can figure out how to set the suspension for the specific track you're driving on, brilliant. But if you can't, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Then they made the CS, which is freaking standing. Problem is, it costs $100,000.
Yeah,
but like,
that's hard to swallow.
Yeah, but wow, like that car is almost as good as the 911. Oh, there's the problem. For the same money, you can get a 911.
Yeah,
but that said, you still love the BMW. It's really, really good. It just doesn't have the mature, let's say the damping sophistication of a 911, and that's the trick with those cars, is that they're just perfect no matter what the condition of the road, no matter what you're doing. It's just, you're always. You feel like the car's on your side, and it's just all from the suspension tuning. Yeah,
and weight too. I mean, the Carreras aren't light, but you were talking about the Alpine.
The Carreras are light.
32, 33, more or less.
But I mean, that's light for a modern car with that much power. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's why I was surprised. I think I commented on one of your pictures with the M2.
Yeah.
3,600 pounds.
3616, I want to say. Yeah.
That's a lot for a small two-door.
It is. Well, remember, it's a 3. It's an old 3 cut down. It's not even the new 3. It's an old one. Yeah, it's heavy. It's a heavy car.
I have a Civic SI, and that thing's like 2,800 pounds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you could feel it. You could really, really feel it. There's nothing like the feeling of a super light car.
Yeah, well, I would say unless you have a super powerful car. Because if you look at like power to weight, the M2 competition is about 8 pounds per horsepower. That Alpine, as light as it is, it's about 9 pounds. A little less than 9, but it's about 9 pounds per horsepower. So the BMW does beat it on power to weight. But you get other benefits from lightness too. You don't need monster brakes, so you're probably not over braking. So if you're going for a lap time, maybe it's better, maybe it's not. But yeah, so I always say physics doesn't care as long as you have enough tire. You can weigh whatever you want, as long as you have the power to go with it.
Yeah, I guess I got to get some big tires on my Civic.
Yeah.
I'm looking to spruce it up a little bit with some bigger tires.
Nice.
Yeah. So I want to make a slight transition. We were talking about whiskeys at the beginning.
We were.
Yeah. Now we got a great intro on the Alpine. We'll find out who won on that head-to-head in about, you said about a month?
About a month. I mean, so tomorrow, and I don't know when this is going to air, but tomorrow being March 20th, the first episode of our new season of Head to Head drops. It's Ferrari 812 Superfast versus Dodge Challenger Hellcat Red Eye.
Okay.
And then so about a month after that is when the second episode. So I should say it's going to be 2 months. So the second episode is Porsche GT3 RS versus McLaren 600 LT. So then 2 months from tomorrow is when the Alpine will drop.
Got it.
Yeah, we just finished shooting it. I'm totally jet lagged. Anyways,
have you guys had any complaints? Like Top Gear used to get the complaints of like, you guys, you're only testing unobtainable cars. Because you're not really testing unobtainable. There are some cars.
No matter what you do, you get complaints. So we literally get every complaint. And so if we do a Ferrari versus a Dodge, the complaint is that's stupid. No one would ever cross shop those. If we did Ferrari versus Aston Martin DBS, which is what we were going to do, and then Aston Martin decided to pull their entire fleet out of the US of DBSs, and they were all pre-production, and they wanted to replace them all with actual production cars because they're actually in production now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We would have got a complaint that they're unobtainium. If we do cars that people can afford, it's boring. Who cares? So you get every complaint no matter what you do. You learn just to live with it. Like people actually like complaining. There's the art of the complaint now.
Yeah.
You know? So yes, we do get that charge. I've even had editors of my magazine say like, could you do like cheaper stuff? And I'm like, well, yeah, but no one will watch it.
You do this to kind of live a fantasy, right?
Yeah.
And when you're watching, like, let's say, I don't know, throw some cars out there that would be kind of just regular old cars. We talked Fiesta, right?
Sure.
Let's say Fiesta versus what's comparable.
I don't know, Volkswagen Polo.
Okay.
Or a Fiat 500, something like that.
I'm not watching that.
That's what I always say. I said, look, we could do a Prius video if we run it over with a tank. And Roadkill did that.
Yeah.
And it was great TV. But unless you run the Prius over with a tank, no one's watching that. No one's watching Camry versus Accord. The people that shop for those cars, they rarely think that way. They go, I don't know anything about cars. I'm scared to death. I'm going to get robbed. I talked to my one friend who seems to know cars. He said, buy a Camry. It'll never break down. So that's what I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's literally the thought process.
Yeah. Or you can go on YouTube and you can find some reviewer.
Yeah.
That's just done a regular old review. These are the features. These are the options. It's not going to break down.
Yeah. Never seen one of those, but I'm sure they exist. Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
They're really, really high production value.
Oh yeah. No, yeah. We're in the fantasy business. You know, we want to sell people, a good time, and you got to have interesting cars, and also like I've probably gone too far in this direction, but I struggle to like have feelings and thoughts about uninteresting cars unless you do something weird with them.
Yeah.
It's just really, it's just a strange thing. It's like, boy, why doesn't this car like do something cool?
Well, uninteresting is uninteresting no matter how you put it. It's not going to ruffle any feathers. It's not going to make you feel a certain way. As car enthusiasts, right? That's what we do is we buy something that makes us feel good. Yeah.
And I'm not a features person. So for instance, like if it has or doesn't have Apple CarPlay, could not care less. What? Why would you? What an annoying thing. You can't use your phone. Or you can use your phone, however it works. It's like, and so I know there's people that when they review cars are like, oh, and then it has this option and this option and this option, standard, yay. And to me, okay, like it just doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah, because most cars probably have about the same type of options now.
Getting close, yeah. So and that's me. And like I said, I've probably gone too far in that direction because I think I'm starting to get blind spots because, I have a lot of people that ask me like, hey, should I get the GT3 or the GT3 Touring? But I also have a lot of people, they're like, my wife, even though we have one child who weighs 20 pounds, we need a 3-row SUV. And I'm like, I just really haven't driven them lately, and they're all kind of the same. You know what? Get a minivan. That's what you really need. Get a minivan. Like, who are you trying to fool?
Right, but Odyssey or Sienna, which one?
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Oh, man. There's the answer.
I would say actually Sienna based on how the Odyssey looks, but that's just me.
Okay. Well, there you go.
I'm sure the Odyssey's better, but Sienna.
Yeah. Whichever, if you're going towards that direction, whichever dealership is closer to your house, go there.
Right. Well, I mean, I tell people, I remember a friend of mine, she has 4 kids and she's like, oh, should I get like an Escalade or a GLS or whatever? I'm like, you got 4 kids. Who are you fooling? Get a minivan.
Yeah.
Like that, you made this life choice to have 4 children. Like,
right, yeah.
You need a minivan.
Yeah.
You don't need an SUV.
Yeah.
So
SUVs, really, for the most part, unless you're talking like, let's say Navigators or Suburbans.
Navigators are so good.
Yeah. The new ones.
Yeah.
Even I hate SUVs.
Oh, Navigators.
Yeah.
Special.
Those seats.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Special.
Yeah. But when it comes to just SUVs in general,
Yeah.
if you're not going to go for something really, really big, you're not going to have much more space than just a regular sedan.
You're going to have less, actually.
Yeah.
You're actually going to have less because of the way the suspension, everything has to intrude into the cabin. Yeah. Like a station wagon versus an SUV, typically you'll get more storage in a station wagon. And everything's bad. The fuel economy is worse. They cost more. They drive worse. They have longer braking distances. They're slower. There's nothing good about a crossover. Now, if you want to talk like a Land Cruiser or a Wrangler or a G-Wagon, all right, that's an SUV. Let's talk that. But if it's like a Highlander, come on.
Yeah.
Just get a minivan. Just get the Sienna. It's the same thing.
Or a Camry.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's the same damn thing, less the extra row of seats.
I've told this story a million times, but I was making fun of the fact that you have a 20-pound child and you need a 3-row. I remember I was at the Brembo Brake Factory, and a bunch of us were getting a tour, and just for various reasons, the PR lady had to give me a ride in her personal car, and it was a Citroen C3. That's the one that has like the receding hairline. It's got like it's the top of the, kind of like what they did with the Tesla Model X, but the top of the glass for the windshield is like a mini sunroof.
Okay.
And it's a tiny car. It's a 3-door hatchback, right? Like it would be smaller. It would be the same size as like a Golf, maybe even smaller, but probably the same size as a Golf. C3 and the Golf, same size. And we get in the car and she goes, "I apologize, it's such a big car. I have 2 teenagers." And I'm looking at her like, in the U.S., you'd have like a motorhome for 2 teenagers. I mean, it's a 2-door. It was hysterical. So Americans are weird.
Well, we have more space.
Yeah, we do. We do. And sometimes when they get it right, man, you could have a Navigator. Yeah, and it's awesome.
Yeah,
it's really a good thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that being said, space. There's a lot of space in Kentucky for the things that we're going to discuss right now.
Yes,
and you're an avid bourbon fan.
I am. I like bourbon.
I was in Kentucky recently.
Oh, yeah? Where?
Yeah. In Louisville.
Nice.
Yeah. Lexington and Louisville.
Lexington's good. Louisville's better.
Not when you're pulling in, if you've never been to Lexington and you go into the seedy part of town, you're going, holy shit, where the fuck did I just land?
Right.
That was an interesting experience. And I grew up in kind of a rough and tumble area. That was the whitest thing I've ever said. I grew up in a rough and tumble area.
Yeah.
But, I grew up in, I went to junior high school in Koreatown, and as the only kind of white kid there, I've seen some shit.
Sure.
Not like Lexington.
Yeah.
What the fuck is up with Lexington?
I don't know. I think I've only been to the nice parts, but Louisville's great.
Louisville's great. Yeah. Louisville's super great aside from the humidity, but it's super great.
That's the rest of the country. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to do something fun here.
Okay.
Or hopefully it's fun for you.
I'm sure
I'll try my best.
Okay.
So since you're an avid bourbon drinker, bourbon fan, and you are the guru of anything on 4 wheels,
getting there.
I think what we could do is we can make some comparisons between good, great bourbons and let's say like individual car models and maybe even just brands.
Right.
So you gave me, before we fired up the mics, you gave me some examples of really, really good stuff. And then I wrote down some just regular old stuff.
Right.
So we'll start with the really, really good stuff.
Okay.
And we're going to go down because, we're making a full circle return to that list thing. And we're just going to compare the cars. And I'd like you to give me some tasting notes and then also some tasting notes on the car.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, first of all, I just want to say that the first 5 I gave you, they're all from one brand, Willet, and they're all literal single barrel releases, meaning there's one barrel. That's all there ever was, all there ever will be, a single barrel, can't be reproduced. And they, one barrel, and a lot of this stuff is like 20 years old or older. Okay. So one barrel is going to produce maybe 100, maybe less. Sometimes there's a short fill. You only get 30 bottles out of a barrel. But so I've had a glass of a lot of these. So it's just, they're super rare. Now, luckily they're super rare cars too. So we can try and do this.
Let's do that. Yeah.
Okay.
So I we talked about the experience.
Yeah.
And I want to keep it to the experience.
Okay.
Okay. So you've had, let's say, like C14A, which is a Willet.
This is a Willet. It's an Astor store pick.
Right.
Yeah, C14A.
Okay. So tell me about the experience of drinking this. Like, where were you? How was it?
This was, okay. So she's gone now, but my dealer at Astor in Manhattan. So Astor, it's a liquor store in Manhattan. They have a barrel picker, and the guy's just got a great palate and gets really good boozes. I was on a flight home from London, I want to say. I'm in Minneapolis airport, waiting for the plane. Phone rings, and it's her, and she goes, "I can't tell you the barrel number, but it's a 21-year-old Astor Pick Willet, $1,000, yes or no?" Now, $1,000 sounds like an insane amount of money for a whiskey. It is, until you realize that she doesn't know, because she's not in the secondary market. She's only in the primary market. Mm-hmm. She doesn't know that bottle is actually worth about $4,000. Okay. So to her, they used to sell it, I'm going to say like probably $300, and she knows how rare it is, and she knows geeks like me will buy stuff like that. So to her, she's getting triple the money, and it's like kind of fell off the shelf, fell off a truck type sale for her. Mm-hmm. So she thinks she's screwing me. I'm like, oh my God. She wouldn't tell me the barrel number, but the good thing is the Willet, the Astor picks that are over 20 years old, there's C12A, C14A, and C44A. C44A is probably a $6,000 bottle. So I couldn't go wrong. You know, I couldn't go wrong. I don't know if she knew I knew that, but I couldn't go wrong. So I was like, absolutely, sight unseen. Yes. Now, plan was to sell it, because why would you drink something that you paid $1,000 for when you can sell it for $4,000? And then my son was born. So that week wasn't the day he was born, but like a few days later, my best friend came over and we cracked the bottle and enjoyed it. And then him and I just kind of drank it for the next year, and it's gone now. Funny footnote to that story. She calls me and says, "Hey, I'm leaving. I found one more bottle of that stuff. The price has gone up. It's now $1,500, and I bought it and sold it for $3,750.
Okay.
Yeah. So I covered both bottles and still made a profit.
All right. Congratulations.
Yeah. She's gone now. So probably going to get someone in trouble, but
it's okay.
That's okay.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
They'll live.
Yeah. So you want to pair that to a car.
Well, you know what? It's interesting because you mentioned that, you came up on these two bottles.
Yeah.
By consuming them and then coming up. So maybe we could throw something in there in terms of value as well. Maybe the car has the potential to appreciate.
Right.
Like an Alpine.
Yeah. Well, no, not an Alpine. No, this would be like top end. I was, what I was actually thinking was like pre-war French stuff for this stuff, because super limited in availability. The prices are already astronomical, and if that bottle that I sold for almost $4,000 2 years ago would have been a $2,000 bottle, and in 2 years from now it'll be a $10,000 bottle, something like that. Because they just, the more they get drank, the value goes up.
Of course.
So I would say something like that, and maybe there's another one on there called Black Ink. Maybe, I don't know, but they're like pre-war, like Type 57 Bugattis. Maybe not the Atlantic. One of them, there is a Willet out there that is a Type 57 SC Atlantic coupe, but this is like the Adelante or the Stelvio or the the name, the Gangloff. So it's one of those body styles, but it's like it's very rare. In fact, I think we could probably save listeners some pain and say all five of these. So C14A, 66, Bigfoot, Black Ink, and 7A. Not 7A. 7A is different. They're all like a Type 57 Atlantic with a different body.
Okay.
Yeah. And they're all just like super rare. Don't worry about what they cost, because you'll never find them. And it's like, well, how much does that car cost? It's like, no one will ever offer it to you. You have to be in the potential Bugatti owner and current Bugatti owners club to even hear about an Adelante coming up for sale. You got to be in the big baller geek whiskey groups to even. There's a Black Ink for sale for, I think the last bottle I had, the guy paid $9,000 for it. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, not an issue, not going to affect your life in any way.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like that. Now, 780 is an interesting one. There's only these other four. They're all old. Black Ink. Boy, I shouldn't say that. Black Ink could be, I can't remember. Anyways.
You mean old by the age or
over
old?
20 years old?
Over 20 years, okay.
Yeah. So 780, those a 14 year.
Okay.
And it's just a remarkable bottle. Tastes like ballpark peanuts. And so my favorite kind of secondary note in bourbon is like a peanut note. And I just love any bourbon that tastes like peanuts. And 780 is probably the most prominent I've ever had. It was just wonderful. So to pair that to a car, it would be like let's say the Porsche GT3 of the 700 series Willett releases, where all 991 Porsches are good, some are better, right? So the GT3 is kind of better than all the other 991s, and so I would say that the 780 is like a GT3.
Okay,
yeah.
All right,
yeah.
Okay.
How's that for nerdy and geeky?
I think that's fantastic. I just have to get my hands on to a 780 or any of these for that matter.
Well, next time, I am under the weather, so I didn't even think to bring whiskey because I literally had to take NyQuil to go to sleep last night, and I wasn't going to cancel on you, but man, I'm just like, this cold's killing me. But next time I'll bring something real special.
All right. I'll see you next week.
I have some real special.
Yeah, that sounds good. Next Wednesday. All right. So let's go. I want to go into something that I picked.
Okay.
Because I think this is going to be fun. Yeah. Jim Beam.
Camry.
That's pretty fast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Explain why.
It's everywhere.
Okay.
It's fine. And there's nothing special about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Let's go back to the good stuff now.
Yeah.
Okay. So William Weller.
William LaRue Weller. WLW as it's known. All right. So everyone has probably heard of Pappy Van Winkle, even if you're not into bourbon.
Right.
You've heard of Pappy Van Winkle, which is like it was the first widely known bourbon that was worth a crazy amount of money. For some reason, people were super after the 23-year-old stuff. So what they don't know is that a large company called Buffalo Trace, which is actually owned by a larger company out of Japan, I forget the name of the company.
Is it Suntory?
It's Suntory. Yeah. That's right. Owns it. So when I say owns it, Buffalo Trace, they make Buffalo Trace whiskey. They make Blanton's. They make Evan Williams. They make Weller. They make Old Weller. They make a zillion things, including Pappy Van Winkle. And they also make this great stuff. They call it BTAC. So it's the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection.
Okay. 5
bottles make up the collection. Most famously is George T. Stagg. Then William LaRue Weller. Then you have Eagle Rare 17, Thomas Handy, and Sazerac.
That's an unfortunate name. Thomas Handy.
Yeah, well, meant something different back then. And then Sazerac. Now, the ones that matter are the Stag and the WLW because they're super high proof whiskeys that are aged a lot. When I say super high proof, we're talking, you'll routinely see WLWs at 125 to 130 some proof. Stags have been hazmat, which is when a whiskey is over 140 proof, over 70% alcohol. The geeks, we call them hazmat because technically speaking, you can't check them in your bag on an airplane because you're not allowed to. If it's over 70%, it's hazardous material.
Yeah.
So it's a hazmat whiskey. There's some of those.
Hilarious.
The WLW is a wheated whiskey, also known as a wheater. What that means is if you drink Jim Beam, you're drinking a bourbon that is at least 51% corn. The remainder of the mash bill is made up of some rye and some barley. Probably, it's typical mash bill is like, let's say like 75% corn, 20% rye, 5% barley, something like that. A wheater, and Maker's Mark is a wheater. The rye is replaced with wheat, and it makes it kind of a less spicy, gentler drinking. Now, at 65% alcohol, it's not easier drinking. It's just has wheat instead of rye, different flavor profile.
It'll burn regardless.
Pappy Van Winkle is a wheater. When they make bourbon at Buffalo Trace, they just make bourbon and they put it in different barrels. And then after many, many years, they taste it. That tastes like Blanton's. Bottle it. That tastes like Pappy. Bottle it. It's the same stuff. It's the same. They might have a couple different grain bills, but like Heaven Hill, who makes 100 and some odd whiskeys, including Elijah Craig. It's too many to list. They have one mash bill, so they get 100 different flavors of whiskey because what no one realizes, most of the flavor in bourbon comes from the wood.
Right.
One of the laws to make bourbon is, and it's a legal product, has a legal definition, has to be virgin white oak. And by being virgin, you're going to get crazy flavors. I mean, nothing else has been made in it. So it has to be a new barrel, and you just get the unique flavor from the wood. Now, so if Pappy and WLW are the same recipe in the same barrels, why am I saying WLW is better? And I'm sorry, I'm really nerding out here.
No. This is exactly what I wanted you to do. So keep going.
Because it's uncut. In other words, they bottle it at barrel strength. Pappy 23, that people pay $2,000 a bottle for, is watered down to 90 proof. So in other words, they take this beautiful liquor and they add water. They literally add water to it. So they take it down it comes out of the barrel at a high expression. Could be 125 proof, could be 130, 135, anything in between. And they water it down to 90, which is why real bourbon geeks, the only Pappy they really seek out is the 15 year, because that's bottled at 107.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Pappy 20 and 23. Inexplicably, I don't understand it. It's just great marketing is all it is. Because those bottles are like $50 wholesale and they sell for $2,000.
$50 wholesale?
Yeah, well, bourbon wholesale is ridiculously cheap. No, that's they're 50 wholesale, but you get one bottle.
I'm still.
Yeah. But they water it down. So the real thing to do, and they only release this BTEC collection once a year, but WLW, William LaRue Weller, that is the bourbon to get because it's friggin' delicious. It's friggin' delicious. Now, every year is different.
Asterisk.
Yeah. Every year is different. It's obtainable. Problem is, retail price of a WLW, probably $200.
Okay, cross out the
The
asterisk.
second it goes on the secondary market, they're about $500 for a week, and then people drink them, and then the price gets set.
Okay.
Currently, the 2018 release, I want to say is like about $700 every time I see it up for sale. So it's cost prohibitive, but it's delicious.
Yeah, it is, but you're going to take a while to drink that bottle, especially if you have multiple bottles. Like I have a whiskey collection. I have mostly Scotch. I'm a Scotch guy.
Okay. Scotch is made in used bourbon barrels, by the way.
Yeah. That's why I find it delicious. I like Scotch because it's a little less sugary to me.
Okay. Yeah, it is.
So, yeah. Anyway, I'm making notes here. Mental and on this.
So I
piece of paper.
have a 2018 WLW. I won in a charity raffle.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So I paid I think $50 and I actually won a bottle. So
nice.
It was very
no
good.
flip there.
That one I drank. I don't flip. I rarely flip. Like I said, the two bottles I've ever flipped in my life are bottles that I had other ones of, and like I said, paying $1,000 for a bottle is insane. And I fully intended to flip it because I really can't afford $1,000 bottles. I sadly don't make enough money. But then my son was born and I'm like, you know what? I do want to celebrate. And this is a nice celebration.
Yeah.
And then I got another bottle and sold it for, more than 3 times what I paid for it, which paid for the other $1,000 bottle. So to compare a WLW to a car.
Yes.
Oh boy. It is like front engine V12 Ferrari.
Okay.
Meaning there's always a front engine V12 Ferrari. They're always very different. They're always very good, with the exception of the F12, which was kind of a pile, but it's still a great engine. So I'd say that's what the WLW is. It's as big as they get. It's as powerful as they get. It's as great as they get. And it's,
Now, as big as they get, as powerful as they get, what you're talking like flavor profile or
flavor and alcohol?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So again, it's hard. And again, I believe there was, and I could be wrong. I believe there was a WLW that was as high as like 136 proof. I think the biggest whiskey I've ever seen was like 144 proof. I think that's correct. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter over 60% alcohol. It's like very intense flavor. And so, V12 Ferrari, the 812 Superfast, the 789 horsepower. Yes, there are a couple cars out there with more power, but not really.
Right.
They're all called Koenigsegg's. They don't really exist. They're not real kids. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
812 Superfast. I'll make
Yeah.
that.
Okay. Yeah. 812. The current release, 812 Superfast.
And so, best case scenario is you get a bottle of the WLW to accompany your 812 Superfast.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the anniversary episode with me and Jonny Lieberman. The next episode, part 2, where we talk even more bourbon and cars, airs next Tuesday. Remember, please leave me a review, and thanks so much for listening.